Hi, I'm Kevin Doyle and I'm a precision rifle athlete. And this channel is going to document my journey learning one of the most precise sports in the world. Precision rifle shooting is a sport where the difference between a perfect shot and a bad shot can be less than the width of a human hair. It's also fair to say that the difference between winning and losing can also be less than the width of a human hair. The sport is built on discipline, on control, and actually its execution of a repeatable process to the best of your ability. And that's what I'm here to learn. The discipline I currently compete in, it's 10-meter air rifle. The target's 10 meters away, and the center of the target is it's extremely small. It's actually the size of the ball on a ballpoint pen, so half a millimeter at 10 meters. The scoring rings are between 1 and 10, so it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. But within each of those, there's a decimal as well. So there's 1, 1.1, 1.2, and so on until 2. The 10 ring is half a millimeter in size, and it's divided into 10 also. The perfect shot's 10.9. The perfect qualifying score is 654, which is 60 shots of 10.9. When you think about your heart beating and the movement your heart makes, that's enough to throw you from a winning shot to a potentially losing shot. I compete in SH2 classification, and what that means is I shoot the rifle with a supported spring. So instead of my left arm, which is impaired, I use a spring, and my rifle sits on that spring. Even with that support system, the level of control is required. It's massive. How I'm classified as SH2 is the International Paralympic Committee. They do an assessment on you. They measure, first of all, muscle movement. So does your muscle work, yes or no? And then they score it out of 5 for each muscle. So things like, can you turn your wrist out? Can you turn it in? Can you close a fist? Can you hold fist? All those measurements are taken. And that you start off with 100 points, and then they start removing points. And when they get to a certain number, that's the classification. So it's as objective as possible. The result is my left arm is replaced by a spring. This channel, it exists to document the process of learning the sport properly. It's not just about competitions, the work that's actually involved day to day, the training sessions, technical adjustments, mental discipline, and the mistakes that happen along the way, they're all going to show up here. Mistakes for me, by the way, happen once. After that, it's not a mistake. Precision sports, they reward patience and process, and that's what this channel is also going to focus on. So how did I end up here? Well, before shooting, I competed in sailing. In 2022, I broke my neck during a sailing competition, and I sustained a spinal cord injury, C5 level. After that, I began looking for a sport that actually I could pursue as seriously as I pursued sailing. And what I found was a sport that encompassed more, maybe not more, actually, maybe different. And it led me to precision rifle shooting. How I got into it, I was looking for a hobby. Now it's turned into a passion. I did what I call a try before you buy. I went along looking for a hobby, contacted Target Shooting Ireland. They put me in contact with a coach at their national training centre, and I went along. I went along on a Tuesday, tried pistol, but I was intrigued by the rifle. And I came back on a Thursday. I tried rifle, was invited to enter a competition that coming weekend, which I did, and I won the supported section. What immediately interested me about this sport was the level of precision and control involved. But there was something else that actually interested me too. It was about process. We have what we call a shot process. And the more I listened to the enthusiasm and passion of the coach talking about this shot process, the more I realized it was like a hand on a glove for me. It actually fitted perfectly because I'm a process-driven individual, process-focused. And it's actually the first book he pointed me to was called Falling in the Love with the Process. of being great. And for me, it's getting up every day following a process is where I get my satisfaction and happiness from. Um, More adhering to the process than falling into exceptions of the process. The shooting it's not actually about strength or speed. You're not rewarded for strength. And to my abilities, speed is not something that I benefit from either. So you need enough strength to hold a rifle, but you don't need to be a bodybuilder. And you don't actually need to be that fast either. Now, we do in qualifying, we have 1 hour, 15 minutes to complete 60 shots. So there are time constraints, but there's plenty of time in there. Mostly it's about stability, focus, and the ability to execute a process consistently. And that's where I naturally lean towards. It's the consistent process execution. Adrenaline is not your friend in this sport. High heart rate, heart beating it's not your friend, because that's reflected in the sight. Adrenaline runs through your body, it makes muscles twitch. That's not in your benefit. If you think about it, 0.5 millimeter is the bullseye, and that's divided into 10 circles, concentric circles. Your heart beating reflected in a rifle, you're bouncing all over the place. So it's control of body and control in mind is actually where you benefit from here. Every shot is a decision followed by an action. When I started, I didn't even have a rifle. Funny little story. I was using a rifle at the range, but I was only able to go 2 mornings a week, which meant I had the rest of the week to actually be myself. But at home, no rifle, nothing. What I did was I followed what the coach had suggested, which was design my shot process. And I thought, well, a big part of shooting is muscle memory. It's working on the subconscious, if you want. So you get rewarded for executing a process over and over again. So teach yourself over and over again. Similar to driving a car. You start out, you look down, shouldn't be looking too much at your clutch. When you're changing gears, you might look down the gear stick, moving from first to second, so on. After a while, with muscle memory, it becomes a subconscious execution. So you don't have to keep checking it. It just happens automatically. So my mindset was, let's go and do the same with the rifle. So what did I have? Well, I had a Murphy Richards stick vacuum cleaner here, which I took the end off of and I taped on with duct tape a big circular ring on the front end off the back of a washing machine, of all things. And on the closer end to me, which we'd call the rear sight, I actually used duct tape to put a washer on it. And literally, our sport is based on aligning concentric circles. That's what it is. There's a circle of a ring on a target. There's a circle on the foresight. There's a circle on the rear sight. So neurovisual work I could do at home without ever having a rifle physically in my hand. Now, you do need to progress to that, but to train the brain to spot something within a short space of time, I had all I needed here. The Murphy Richards 101 is what I call it. And I would do my shot plan based on that, and I trained my muscle memory so that when I went to the firing range, give me a rifle and I don't have to start practicing my shot process. It's an automatic reaction, like changing gears. But what it did give me was fundamentals. It gave me position, stability, and trigger control. And it gave me a process which I could work through until it became second nature. And to be honest, I'm coming up on a year now from the time I started. My shot process hasn't changed significantly, and my execution process hasn't either. So in precision sports like this, you can actually start training for the process long before you have, should we say, perfect equipment, whatever perfect is. I'd suggest one thing immediately is don't go chasing equipment. Get the stuff you need and get on with it, because there's always something going to be brought out next week which won't actually help you, but it will dig a hole in your pocket. What you're going to see on this channel, I would say, is most of the videos are going to be focused on training. The type of content you can expect. I split my training into physical, psychological, and technical. So there will be some technical work, there will be process development, equipment adjustments, competition preparation, the lessons learned along the way. For me, failure is not as significant as it could be in some respects. For me, I learned more through the failure than I did through from successes. Learning, by the way, it's a subjective enough thing too. You can't keep making mistakes because they're not mistakes if you keep making them. However, if you analyze the mistake in the right way, you'll get a deeper understanding of the problem. and you can learn a wider array or range of information as a result of it. It's a sport where improvement comes from disciplined repetition. If you think about it, it's a very simple sport. You repeat something 60 times perfectly. I'm also going to introduce the broader ideas, you see, without turning it into a business content. You see, one of the things here is the sport fascinates me because the principles required to perform well, they're transferable. They're not ones that I've defined. I had these working in business before. There's discipline, there's process, and there's decision making under pressure. The pressure here, by the way, can be down to 0.01 of a millimeter. That's the type of pressure you're under, if that's what you're going to let into your game. The idea is they apply far beyond sport. I've had them in the boardroom as well as in the sports environment. But in this environment, they're tested one shot at a time. Right now, I'm focused on delivering and developing the 10-meter air rifle mastery. Over time, I'm going to be moving on to expand this into 50-meter small bore rifles. So at the moment, I shoot R4 and R5, which are standing and prone 10-meter, and I'll be competing hopefully in R9 in 50-meter at some stage. First of all, I've got to master the process, and then we can move it on. And the goal is simple for me. It's pursuit of mastery in a sport that rewards absolute precision. That's the beauty of it. When the process is perfect and you execute the process perfectly each time, you get rewarded for it. But the process is the gold medal here, not the score at the end of it. That's key. If you're interested in precision, discipline, and process of getting better at something difficult, I think you're in the right place. And I'd like to thank you for watching.